Welcome, Galaxy Doc Market community members. Today is October 25th, 2025, Saturday, approximately 9:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time as I bring you this market look ahead and market review video so we can prepare ourselves for the coming week. And we have a big week coming up ahead. And for those of you getting this market a little bit later on x.com and YouTube video, I want you to understand that there's a big, huge problem within our marketplace. And we're going to be discussing about that and why we are in the raging bull market blow off top. And for those of you in our YouTube and x.com community, here's the disclaimer. Pause it, read it. If you agree with this disclaimer, please move forward. And of course, I want to thank you for all following us. Check us out, share us. We have great content at x.com/galaxy.market, and follow us on and subscribe to us on YouTube. We're there. Hasn't gained a lot of traction there, but I post it because there's a loyal following of about 1,200 members that follow it. Regardless, you guys have been posting a lot of good comments and negative comments, and I enjoy both of them. And we agree to differ. And, this is what makes the markets go around. And no, I am not pumping silver market for the sake of pumping. I'm following the macroeconomic data that suggests that we are headed for a gigantic monetary and debt reset that's coming up. All right, so we can't talk about that unless we talk about the 2008 to 2009 financial crisis analog. I believe we are following this exact analog, and I'll tell you exactly where we are. We are right now, Fed just lowered 25 basis point last month, and I think we've, just kind of chopped around there. And so this is back in April of 2020, not 20, but 2008. And we've just gone up incessantly on top of that. And I think we're right here, right now. Okay. And next week, I think we're going to be putting that type of a candle in, and we're going to be selling off over the next, entire month of November. So I've always told everybody that I believe that the blowout top was going to continue until the end of the month, October 31st, and possibly heading into the first week of November, which would be November 8th. Okay, so that's that time frame in which we're going to continue to put in this blow-off top. It's not going to go up in a straight line either, but it's just going to be fits and starts. And, and that's what's going to happen. But the actual sell-off and the correction, boy, do we need one, okay, is going to start at the end of October and the first week of November. Okay, so what we're expecting is approximately at least about 15 to 25% correction, maybe morphs into something bigger through all entire month of November. Okay, and so that's kind of where we are. If you need this chart, you can email me at coachbrandon@protonmail.com or screenshot this. Okay, this is a very informative history lesson and what the Fed exactly did, what kind of problems there were inherent in those days at 2008 to 2009, and the parallels that are leading us into the current date as of October 24th, 2025. We got the tricolor bankruptcies. We have all of these debts that are basically, again, being packaged as AAA bonds and being sold. You got Prime America, you got the First Brands debacle. Now we have consortium of 8 banks that are trying to sue to prevent the Department of Justice from being able to look into their books. Okay, what are they hiding? They're hiding subprime scum. They're hiding fraud. Okay, that's what's happening. Regional banks are in trouble, and it's going to be a big contagion. And I think that's what's going to happen as we enter into this analog right here. That's where we're going to be next week. Okay, just keep in mind. Okay, the big week ahead. Okay, so we also have the big elephant in the room is on 10/29/2025, which is Wednesday, FOMC meeting. They're expected to cut 50 basis point. They call it a jumbo cut. And here's the thing, whatever Fed does, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if they cut, hike, or stay the same. It doesn't matter if they cut 25 basis point, if they cut 100 basis point, you might get a short-term reaction out of that. But the fact of the matter is that so much money was printed. There's so much fraud inherent within the system that, and the economy is not booming. We are in recession. Or what I call stagflation. We're in a recession, but there's no job growth. There's nothing. I mean, it's just all we have is hyperinflated currencies that's worthless. And this is what's caused the increases in demand for gold and silver, not only by the general public, but by the central banks and the governments. Florida, for God's sakes, is now recognizing gold and silver as legal tender. And India is now using 10-to-1 gold to silver ratio, okay, to be able to use gold and silver as collateral for loan. Okay, they're asking for hard physical assets. Wake up, folks. All right. And also, if you go to your, precious metal exchanges and dealers, the sovereign bullion coins like American Silver Eagles or American Gold Eagles, they're very hard to find at this moment, and they have exorbitant, and it's only going to get higher, spot premiums at this point. Okay, JM Bullion, APMEX, they're all citing about 4 to 6 weeks in delay in even trying to locate silver. Okay, and so that's something that I've been warning about. It's only going to get worse. And despite the pullback in silver and gold prices, that's a price manipulation, and it's not going to last. Okay, I've been telling people that it's not going to last. They did. I'll show you exactly how they smashed that price down, but that's a temporary measure. It's not that they're just shorting paper shorts. They now went to COMEX and LBMA and increased futures margin. Remember, futures prices drive spot prices, but we had a backwardation, meaning that the spot price was driving future prices. And so they couldn't have that, because if they lose control of that, then silver would be at $600 overnight. Okay? I know, maybe not 600, but something above 100. Okay? All right. But it could happen. Why are the Fed having the meeting at the end of the month? They usually have it in the middle of the month. And then second question you need to ask about the Fed is that if the government is shut down and everybody thinks that the Fed is part of the government, they are not. Okay, this is why they're having the meeting. They are a for-profit private bank that serve the interest of global elite banks. They don't care about you. Their entire plan was to hyperinflate out of this mess, continue to create the divide between the middle class, which is essentially gone. If you're upper middle class, you're basically now beginning to feel like you're part of the lower middle class, right? And that disparity in income and disparity in assets and wealth is exactly what they're trying to do, okay? It doesn't matter. They're not interested in cutting rates or maximal employment. Okay, I don't care what the CPI data that says it came in, a little bit less than expected. That's inflation indeed still. Egg prices are up over 300%, folks. Have you ever looked at the gas prices? Even though Trump is saying that the gas prices have come down, it has not. I live in Arizona, and we have, it's 340, 360. Unless you go to Costco, it's 330. It has not come down, and the inflation is cumulative. Just because the rate came down a little bit, if you look back over the last 5 years since 2020, since the pandemic, that's what's happened. Inflation is real, folks. So you need to be able to either trade your way out of this or have hard assets, or you need to get some cryptos. And I've been pounding the table in cryptos, and we'll talk about that later, okay? Because I think the Trump administration's entire plan is not based on the Federal Reserve Bank. In fact, I think they're creating a parallel currency system parallel to the Fed. Okay, they're trying to neuter the Fed, and I've been saying that for a while. And I think they're going to solve this debt and inflation problem by using stable coins, using XRP, XDC. Okay, we talked about now, and I'm going to be talking about Litecoin. Okay, Litecoin is for micro transactions, okay, off of the Bitcoin chain. Okay, since Bitcoin is useless. But XRP and Litecoin are both forked off of Bitcoin. You know that, right? Anyways, going back to FOMC, does it even matter what they do? My answer is no. You might get a short term, maybe a day or two reaction, but it's going to peter out. And we are in a blow off top phase. I don't care what people say. Okay. And we are heading into a massive divergences. The breadth in the stock market is awful. It's held together by maybe 6 stocks, and the Federal Reserve Bank is pumping liquidity into banks that are dead. Okay. Making you believe, just like they did in 2008, subprime contagion is contained. Okay, that's what they're saying. Again, listen to them. Listen to what they're saying. Why are these consortium of 8 banks trying to block discovery on what's on their balance sheet? Because it's crap that's on there. Okay, pay attention to this FOMC meeting. Rate cuts are not going to matter. And then, of course, there's the big canary in the coal mine is that the U.S. dollar, it's clear what Trump and the administration wants is they want to devalue the dollar. And and it's also clear that the Fed has been neutered. It's because even if Powell came out and announced that he's going to stop quantitative tightening, which means he's going to do quantitative easing, so you're going to print even more money. I don't think there's even quadrillions of worth of money that was printed along with this derivative. I think it's quintillion at this point, okay? And so this is what the 10-year yield or the 10-year bond markets are smart. They're calling bullshit to that whole thing right now. This is a bad sign. Dollar declining and the yield climbing despite all of the jawboning about cutting rates. It doesn't really matter. The drug addict has taken one too many hits and now his heart has stopped, and the defibrillators are not working at this point. Okay, so this is the mechanism that I told you about, that the silver market, how they slammed it down. They increased the futures market margin. This is about 2 weeks ago when I posted this by 6.25. The silver margins have now increased to about 10%. And so why is this important? Because increasing margin means that they need more collateral to hold on to these futures. And so that forces selling. But that's temporary. Okay, they can't keep these futures margins higher. Otherwise, they're going to break the market. So this is the short-term selling pressure that they got, and they spooked a lot of over-leveraged people, just like they did in the crypto market. And now we had a cleansing that cleared out the process. We can move higher again. Gold and silver is moving higher, and I still stand by the fact that I know that the options expiration for the futures for gold and silver is coming up on October 28th. Watch and see what's going to happen next week. Okay. So this is that, the Hunt Brothers things that I was telling you before the breakout. This is an older chart. And we said, hey, look, if we break out from this 40.275, this is the minimum measure move. Okay, so we got about up to like around 54. And then they slammed us back down. And so this is where we are. And in addition to over 3 billion contracts of paper shorts and silver that was perpetrated, they started increasing the margin so to create that short-term selling pressure. This is what we got, folks. Okay, we hit near that 54 55 level. Okay, and then they slammed us back down back into this previous breakout level, right? And so this is the slam. The question is, we need confirmation, right? Are we going to continue to move down like everybody thinks, or do we just chop around here and then start moving higher over the weekend? There's a lot of geopolitical things that can cause this. Things like bank failures, things like putting silver into the strategic metals list by Trump. Things that are happening in India. India is using gold and silver as collateral for loans now, 10-to-1 ratio, folks. All right. Not to mention the increasing hoarding of silver, which is also an industrial metal by China, India, Russia, just about everywhere. If you go to your coin dealers or the exchanges, you can't get the bullions, right? You can't get the American Eagles or right, silver or gold. It doesn't matter. Okay, they're about 4 weeks out, and the spot premiums are outrageous. Okay, this is temporary, folks. All right, so you know what? I'm going to talk about the cryptos really quick as we talk about charts. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. It's still cheap, folks. Okay, XRP, my favorite coin. Okay, I don't know. This looks like inverse head and shoulders to me. Okay, I'm just saying. Okay, you can have your own opinions, but Our group is accumulating XRP as we speak. XDC, it's the same thing. Charts do not lie, okay? After this, forced, engineered liquidation event, we got inverse head and shoulders. It's ready to break out, okay? I mean, okay, let's look at Litecoin. Litecoin is important because if Trump's administration is going to tokenize the debt and really bring in the digital currency backed by gold and silver, Litecoin is going to be important for microtransactions, things that are not in the billions or tens of thousands. That's XRP network, but these are like things like going to Starbucks and buying frappuccinos. Okay, look, Litecoin. Okay, get some Litecoin. It's cheap right now. It's super cheap. It's super cheap. Okay, not financial advice unless you're in our group. Okay, but this is what we're doing. You do your own research and find out. But Bitcoin, same thing. My God, the pictures cannot scream at you enough. Okay, do you get the gist? Okay, the only one that doesn't really have inverse, head and shoulders, okay, is really a WLFI. But I think this is going to play a significant role. I think this is going to be the governing token for the U.S. digital currency. Okay, I know a lot of people think this is a scam. If it is, then we'll find out. But at 13 cents, it's a screaming buy. You can take a shot at this. Okay. All right. So that's what we got. The cryptocurrencies, and then let's go into our chart session. Okay, let's go right here. All right, so a lot of you are saying, well, yeah, but it broke above the upper channel. It can break above those upper channels. Okay, they've done it many times. I think we're at the terminal end of this blow off top. This was that engineered Trump pump. Okay, we're going to be coming right down soon. Okay, end of this month, which is October 31st, Halloween, folks, into November 8th. That's the time frame in which this thing is expected to crack, and we'll have more details on that as we go forward. But we are hitting the upper channel. Every time it's gone near that upper channel, bad things have happened in the market. And if you look at this on the weekly chart, of course, the SPY has broken out. It showed some promise right here and then faked us out. It's nearing that Bollinger Band. Maybe we go a little bit higher up to the top end of the Bollinger Band, but the RSI is screaming divergence. Volume is dwindling. Okay. The MACD is pretty much as bullish as ever, but the histogram is negative coming down. The volume is declining. CCI is negatively divergent now, and the CCI at these levels above 100 is a contrarian indicator, right? We have a little bit of a cross on the stochastics, but it's been crossing, going up and down. I think we're moving slowly down. Okay, this is near the terminal top. We've got the PPO ADX overall making this bearish cup sign, but yeah, we have a little short-term little blip, little tiny thing. That's why I think Monday or Tuesday we may have one more bounce ahead of us, but then all hell's gonna break loose, probably post FOMC. So be careful about that. Even if it pops a little bit post FOMC announcement of 50 basis cuts, the market is a drug addict. Okay, it's taken one too many hits. It's not going to work. Okay, so we talked about this. Okay, if you need this, email me at coachbrandon@protonmail.com or join our group. Okay, here's my McClellan Summation Index. Okay, so we try to get into this volatility box, which would have signaled a significant sell-off coming. We just poked in there, sucked a lot of people in, and now we're going here. And so we're probably going to target this 50 and 200-day moving average, maybe the bottom end of this trend line. And yes, we can go a little bit higher, okay? And I've never said that we're going to crash right away or have a correction, but we have the MACD, MACD histogram, not stochastics, being negatively divergent, and we're still in the negative territory. The momentum is waning. This McClellan Summation Index is telling us that really we're in a downtrend, and the momentum has waned. It's basically overbought, okay? SQQQ. All right. Last week I said, hey, look, we're in that buying range. Okay, we're a little bit below, but because we're having a blow off top right now, formation, you gotta buy it when nobody wants it. These are cheap. So SQQQ is, for those of you that don't know, it's a triple inverse QQQ ETF. It basically is 3 times levered, and they have options on these. So when the market starts cracking, Okay, you want to buy some time on this. When it starts cracking, this is going to be like futures without paying the futures premium. There, I told you. Okay, little public service announcement by Galaxy Stock Market. Silver. Now, I know what you guys are saying. Oh my gosh, Brandon, are you crazy? You're pumping the markets or whatever. It topped, and now we have a bearish engulfing. We definitely may. But we are above the ADMA. Yes, it's flattening out a little bit. Well, how could you not when you engineer this type of a sell-off, right? But what I do believe is that this phase 3 is going to reset this whole count back into phase 1. So once we start going up, we're going to have 1, 2, and 3. And can that all occur? Yeah, it's a tall order by October 28th. It's going to happen near that time period. Okay, so October 28th is important because it is a futures options expiration date for gold and silver. Okay, so this is what we got. The MACD is been about as bullish as you can be. That on that forced engineered selling, we have a little bit of a blip down. And we needed to come off of this, the CCI. It was overbought, and it pulled back, and they used that to their advantage by increasing margin requirements. So we have the stochastic coming down. I think we're going to hit this bottom area and then turn right back up by Monday, and so we have this little short-term blip on the PPO ADX a little bit, I think, but overall the cup runneth over, folks. This is about as bullish it gets. It's a 45-year-old cup in a handle. But you're going to have some of these little pullbacks, okay? And then, of course, average true range. We're going to continue to expand on this price range, okay? So here's our cup in a handle. Here's what happened. They artfully pushed right below that breakout level, right? If you really look at it, it should be where it closed, right? But I use the wick sometimes, but they really got it right at that breakout level, okay? This ain't over yet, folks, okay? And that amount of manipulation is going to be fuel for the fire and what's to come. Let's look at gold. Gold is a little different story, right? We have a little bit of an inside bar day. Found support at the 5 SMA, ADMA. Everything is bullish. Look at these lesser moving average. 20 SMA, the home base is bullish. It might, like I said, I just don't think that was an engineered pullback to save the banks and to accumulate and to flush out excess speculation that was going on. Okay, and that's basically where we are. Let's talk about some better stuff. Our watch list works. In our group, we called out AutoNation, we had Netflix, we had Intuitive Surgical, we had a whole shebang of those things. We're just going to review a little bit. AutoNation still has a lot of meat left on this bone, okay? It's found support at R1. I think we're headed to this pivot level and then see what happens at that level. Yes, we have put options. These things are up huge, folks. All right, and it's just getting started on AutoNation. Again, AutoNation is a dealership, and they're getting hit hard. Okay, you know where I'm going with this, right? Look at this. This is all negatively divergent. It just got started. PPO ADX. How beautiful is that? Okay, so more downside for AutoNation, and then Carvana has earnings on, I think, the 29th or the 30th. I'm not sure. Don't check me on it, but it's coming. Carvana is not only a used car dealership, but they do subprime auto loans, and they've been hiding the disclosure of their loss rates on that loan, and they can't hide it anymore. With the advent of Tricolor, they must be hurting, but, they are holding on to it right now, and this offers us a unique opportunity. We have a rounded top formation. We have the RSI that's divergent. We have MACD that's divergent. I mean, my goodness. I mean, this is fantastic. Look, CCI is already warning you. Big drop is coming. Stochastic is negative. I mean, you can't get any worse than this, right? We have, look at this, PPO ADX doing this, okay? So this is like a gift because we're at near all-time highs. It's stalling out. They're going to report earnings unless they lie. Even if they lie, there's going to be another shoe to drop in this ongoing saga of bank insolvency and the subprime fraud that's occurring left and right. The other one that's coming out this week for earnings is Meta. This is part of our list. We have a double top formation, having trouble holding above this green line, which is ADMA. I believe when it falls, it's going to come all the way down to here, okay, at least. And of course, the pivot's all the way down here. So, can it go down there? Yeah, it definitely can. Meta's been a pretty strong stock, but we're going to know. And they're going to give us an early warning sign about the impending stock market sell-off that's coming. Apple reports earnings next week. It's about as bullish as hell after they've signaled this crash. And then they faked us everybody out. Now it's going to put in probably a blow-off top and heading into earnings, and then it's going to fall. That's what we got, okay? Now, we talked a lot about our watch list, so let's just kind of show you what some of the stuff that we've been looking at. Okay, Tesla, we've had a significant drop, made money on that. Intuitive Surgical, I told you this on our watch list, this was our number one long, okay, and it was a whopper of a trade. Netflix was one of our big shorts, okay. SQQQ, okay, we're building positions on these. We believe it's going to go higher. Okay, here's AutoNation, right? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful since the earnings. Okay, it's going to continue. All right, and here's our Carvana, making lower highs, folks. Hint, hint, hint. All right, so that's kind of what we have. All right, pay attention. I don't think our watch list is going to change materially unless something else comes up on my screening. But that's what you have. If you want that, you need to join our Essentials group, $49 a month. And then lastly, I want to bring you what's happening real quick. Okay. Yeah, we blew past these top levels, QQQ and NQ. Here's ES, NQ right here. All right. More importantly, I said, hey, is this a inverse head and shoulders that we see? It very well may be inverse head and shoulders, right? Here's left, here's the right, here's the right hand shoulder. All right, so that's about it. Of course, we have dollar that's declining, okay? And then we have, since the Powell saying, hey, we're going to raise rates, it's still going higher. That's the canary in the coal mine, folks. Ignore it at your own will. And then VIX is in buying range, folks. It's coming. I told you. It's going to have a blow off top until the end of the month. It's going to coincide with the FOMC. All right. And that's all in a nutshell. Okay. So let's get this out of the way. So in conclusion, we already talked about this. This is an old chart. It used to be at 277. We're at 254. We have inverse head and shoulders. Go get some. Folks, don't be these people. Okay. So they did the aggressive silver and gold slam. You can't blame them for doing it, but basically those slams are getting less and less effective, and the duration of that slam is shorter and shorter. Silver and gold shortages are worldwide. FOMC 1029, I don't care what they do. I don't think it's going to matter. Watch 10-year yield and U.S. dollar. Okay, it's a warning. Okay, so I said, despite silver slam, watch for parabolic breakout in silver by October 28th. I still think it's possible to hit 68 to 82. You think I'm crazy, but you know what? If not, then we have all of November when the market crashes. 10-year yield continues to move higher. Dollar is stagnant. XRP, XDC, Litecoin, folks. Litecoin, inverse head and shoulders. Get them. WLFI also, that's not a scam coin. Got silver, got gold. Physicals are difficult to find now. Market blow off top is finishing up this week with divergences are forming. Crash coming at the end of October 31st to November 8th. And in the end, thank you so much. Follow me at galaxy.market at x.com. We're very active there. If you're following me on YouTube, like us, share us, comment, good and bad. I don't care. I love all the comments. I don't care how much trolling you do right now. I'll get the last up. Subscribe, obviously. Thank you, and get some alpha. If you want to learn about working with me, you got to email me at coachbrandon@protonmail.com or click the link below on information about joining us as our introductory Essentials Group member. Otherwise, let's get some alpha. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.